Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We've got Natalie Dixon. How are you doing, Natalie?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Doing great.
Good.
Let's introduce you to everybody. Where are you from, and what is your passion? Why are you doing this interview?
Well, I am from South Carolina. That's where my family is mostly recently from. And I am doing this because I love performing arts, and I love lots of different kinds of performing arts, like choreography, acting, singing, songwriting, composing.
And you are incredibly good at all of those things,
Thank you.
from my experience. I was looking up some questions that could be funny to include, and I'm curious what the most embarrassing fashion trend that you used to rock, what that might have been for you.
So in middle school, I used to have this style where I would wear leggings down to the ankle and my Converse shoes, which was actually pretty cool. But then I would wear these knee-length skirts and like a hoodie. So I guess it kind of looks like Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph, and I thought it was the coolest thing.
And what is your go-to karaoke song?
I don't know, I'd have to think harder on this, but the last time I did karaoke, I did Young and Beautiful by Lana Del Rey, and that was pretty fun.
Nice. Those of you who are listening may not know this, but Natalie has a habit, maybe it's just a recent thing, of singing with random piano people in restaurants. That's like karaoke, but next level.
So I was on this dinner date with my boyfriend. We went to this really nice restaurant, and it included a pianist, and a few people were drunk in the restaurant, and so he would be playing songs and people would guess what it is or like who wrote it, where it's from, and I ended up guessing a lot of them right, which I'm pretty proud of because they were from classics like Casablanca or Godfather, things like that. So and then I started singing a little bit of Casablanca's as time goes by, and they're like, you have a good voice, and the pianist was like, why don't you come over here and sing a song with me? I was like, okay. So I went up and we sang a couple songs together in front of everyone else, and it was really fun.
That's awesome.
Woo!
My lonely days are over.
Tell me about your interest in dance. How did you get started? What has inspired you, and what are your aspirations with dance?
Dance was basically the first art that I was exposed to when I was really little, like toddler age. And my mom would show me lots of dance movies or episodes of like Sesame Street. There was this like Zoe's first dance class, and I started really liking dance and just the movements and the creativity of all of it, the color that it brings, and the story that it brings from the music. So I started dancing I started doing gymnastics and figure skating when I was a lot younger. But when we moved to Utah, they didn't have those. So I transferred over to dance and did that when I was 10, did ballet, modern, really loved those. And then when I was in junior high school, I started doing more competitive dance and did contemporary, jazz, hip hop, a little bit more ballet, and precision dance included military, which was really neat. And I did 2 more years of ballet my junior and senior year, which was incredible. I was with a great dance company.
So what about theater? Give us the backstory on that as well.
So with theater, I didn't start doing any of that really. I was a part of CYT, Christian Youth Theater, in California when I was a little younger, like elementary school age. And we did fun little shows or skits, but I didn't do more serious productions until I was in high school when I was a sophomore. And we did Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I was a principal dancer, and I fell in love with the rehearsing process, and we've had incredible experiences of not only performing at the high school, but also in Salt Lake City, where all these high schools came together to show a little bit of their shows, and we had like a Tony Awards ceremony like thing, if you will. And of course it has all elements of what I like to do, including dance, singing, acting, and there are just a lot of fun elements with theater that you don't really have with any other type of art.
Last of all is music.
So, getting out of elementary school, I was told that I would either have to choose like an art class or a band class, and I was tempted to do art, but I don't know. I decided to do band instead, and I did percussion, and that was a lot of fun. I chose that because you can do all sorts of instruments, not just one, and I'm really glad I chose it. I got to do that throughout middle school and high school, and in middle school when we were starting that out, he would also let us sometimes go onto this program called Audacity on our computers, and we could arrange music bits that it had and edit them in different ways and add different samples together and things like that, which basically trained me to do more like music producing stuff later on. But I absolutely loved it, and I loved the idea of creating. I would start writing my own little piano pieces, and later on I wanted to learn how to do that more professionally. So, and it wasn't until 2020 when I started recording with someone, and we created some songs together, and I learned how to record and the whole process and get out of my comfort zone with singing in front of other people in the room. and it's a lot of fun. All these things are super fun, and the more I do each of them, especially at the same time, the more I realize how connected they all are. Like dance has helped me with acting and theater have helped me with music in a way, and they're just also connected in many different ways.
Tell me about Lost, your Tony Ann remix video that you did, because that's combining a lot of different things.
Yeah, well, first off, I didn't initially title it Lost because I didn't realize that was the title of his piano piece. So, but anyways, what happened was a friend of mine from Hawaii. I used to live in Hawaii for 8 months for an LDS mission, and someone who lives there showed me this video a couple months ago saying like, hey, there's this new challenge of this where this pianist is basically telling all artists to use this little piano piece that he wrote and to just do whatever with it. Like there's a little clip of him saying songwriters, poets, painters, dancers, do whatever you want with this song, Lost. And I was very busy at the time, but I still just really wanted to do it because it sounded awesome. So I decided to do everything I possibly could with this song. So I decided to first write lyrics for it and to later record me singing and then adding instruments. And then I also choreographed a dance to it, and it was really, really fun.
'Cause the fire in me is meant to burn.
Shout out to Tony Ann.
Yeah, Tony Ann, he is an amazing pianist. Incredible pianist, great composer, and he's done a lot of amazing things, being in like huge concerts with other really great artists. And I think there is a movie that wants to showcase his originals, which is incredible. So yeah, shout out to Tony Ann, he's amazing.
Cool. Well, let's move on to some of your current projects. That's one of them. I know that you also helped choreograph a teenage theater group for Sister Act. Talk about that for a minute or so.
Yeah. So there was this high school production of Sister Act, and I've heard a little bit of it. I remember watching this Thanksgiving parade musical number of them doing like a little dance and song, and it was really, really weird for me seeing nuns in sparkly outfits and just doing a Broadway song and like dancing. So I thought it was kind of a weird musical. But then I heard that they were doing that for the high school, and I was asked to choreograph for it, and it was hard because like every other day it seemed like they were asking me to teach a new dance. There were like 10 plus dances in the show, and so I had to really choreograph quickly and just be at the top of my game and teach it to them. But they've been really, really good, super hardworking. Some of them have never even done musicals or had danced before, so it was a really great challenge to just show them what they can do. And honestly, that's my favorite part of teaching, especially teaching choreography, is that a lot of people don't think that they're able to do dance and choreography, and that only the professional dancers can do it. But I really like to push people to be able to do things that they didn't even think they could do before. And it's been a success so far, and Sister Act was definitely a success. It was so great watching them, very, very rewarding. The theater is called Blue Forest Theater Academy, and I guess the high school asked the director of the academy to teach them for Sister Act. But usually she teaches. Kim Hurt is the director. She's amazing, and she's gathered a whole bunch of kids from this small community in Buena Vista to come together and create these amazing shows for the community. And they also have really fun camps in the summer, as well as like art and music. So theater is a part of all of that. But yeah, it's really great. Really, really great to be a part of.
Lastly, well, this isn't lastly, but last of your current projects, I suppose. What are you up to tonight?
Tonight I am going to rehearse for Joan of Arc, Saint Joan. I was cast as Joan, and this is the first time I have been cast as the lead role for a play, and so there have been many, many challenges with that. A lot more lines to memorize than what I'm used to, and it's a challenging play for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of dialogue, a lot of monologues for different characters, and this is a true story. The story of Joan of Arc is a true story about a girl who was called by angels of God to save France from English soldiers who were trying to invade the country and crown the Dauphin of that time to be the true king of France, and she did it. She accomplished all that was asked of her to do, and she was just a farm girl. She wasn't experienced with the army at all. Wasn't educated, because women in France at that time weren't educated. It was like I think the 15th century, and but she was able to be successful, and it's been a huge miracle for France. And sadly, after all of those victories, people in power decided that she was no longer working in their favor. So everyone turned against her, and she was burned alive as a witch and as a heresy. So it's just a story of having faith and really fighting for what you believe in, even if all odds are against you. And it's an incredibly powerful story.
What would you want someone who watches this play to come away from with it?
Before I answer that, I think it would be good to say that this play, for me personally, well, it's just meant a lot to me personally, because with COVID-19 and with a lot of other things going on in the world and the chaos, I just felt that in a few ways I could relate to Joan, not to the extent that she went through, obviously, but there have been times when I too have felt alone with certain opinions that aren't necessarily as popular, and just in the community that I'm in. And there have been times when I have felt bound, as I'm sure a lot of people have during COVID, with being quarantined. And I know for some it was just boring and inconvenient, but for me it was a huge struggle. So I love the monologue near the end that talks about how life is so much more than not being stone dead, and living just the most simple part of living is just eating, drinking water, rest, those necessary things, but also just enjoying the beauty of the trees outside and the sun and each other as human beings, having that connection. And because Joan could have chosen to be saved by denying her beliefs, but she would be in perpetual imprisonment, meaning that she would stay in prison for the rest of her life, in the dark, in the cold, without any of what all humans have a right to enjoy. And I think that's a really, really important message going forward, is that we need to always remember the most simple, basic, but necessary parts of life, and to fight for what we believe in, and choose to believe in something, sticking with it, and fighting for it, and just living with that belief. So I think the biggest thing I want people to get out of is, first of all, just knowing the story of Joan of Arc and the incredible strength and faith that she had, that a lot of people, especially then, didn't have. and not being afraid to stand alone, and just the whole inspiration that the play gives about miracles and light and truth. And I think that is so important nowadays when we live in a lot of confusion and doubts and fear for a lot of different things. It's really, really important to just stick to what we believe in and to stand firm with it.